More of Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy comes your way now. And make sure to join me, Larry Elder, tonight at 7, only on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. Trump did a sit-down with Lou Dobbs yesterday. And
you mean the biggest suck-up interview I've ever seen in 10 years?
It was friendly.
Oh, he's real friendly. You're the best. You know you're the best. No, you're the best.
And I've got to ask you, I mean, you're one of the most, I would say, by the left particularly, reviled, even hated men to ever hold your post.
I would say so.
You're also one of the most loved and respected.
I would say that also.
In history. And how does that feel? Where is Donald Trump today as you are just now beginning your presidency?
So the one thing that I really thought, because I thought I was treated very unfairly by the press during the campaign, and when I won, I said, the good news is now they'll start treating me well. But they got much worse. Right. Lou, they put on stories on CNN, on NBC, and CBS and ABC, and NBC being an offshoot also with the MSNBC, which is ridiculous. They put on stories that are so false. They have so-called sources that, in my opinion, don't exist. You know, they'll say, sources have said. They're sitting down, they make it up. It is so dishonest. It is so fake. And, you know, I have come up with some pretty good names for people. I think one of the best names is, you know, I've really started this whole fake news thing. Now, they've turned it around, and then now they're calling, you know, stories put out by Facebook fake, and they're fake. What could be more fake than CBS and NBC and ABC and CNN?
All right. Well, why don't we put that question, I thought it was rhetorical in nature, to our friend Steve Moore, Heritage Foundation economist, CNN, senior economist, CNN just mentioned there by the president. Steve Moore, what do you think of your employer being mentioned by the president?
Hi, guys. Good morning. By the way, I know a lot what it's like to be reviled.
Yes.
My ex-wife, everybody who watches CNN. Look, I think there's a lot of truth to this. I mean, he's an extremely polarizing president. People, you know, I walk down the street when I'm in towns, people come up and hug me up. Trump is doing awesome, you know, like that. But then, you know, there are people who just truly think, you know, that there's a real serious campaign by the left to try to get Trump impeached because he's mentally unstable.
Well, I mean, and this week... I
would make the case, by the way, that the people who think that Trump should be replaced for being mentally unstable are mentally unstable.
Right. And this week that effort was joined by two Republican senators, Bob Corker and Jeff Flake, both lame ducks. We all know what they said, and it's been discussed, and they're entitled to their views. Where do you think they come down, though, on the all-important and thinly margined Senate caucus when it comes to moving tax reform to the president's desk?
Well, by the way, let me say one thing loud and clear to your audience, because this is the topic du jour, the topic of the week. So I want everybody to relax. We're not going to take your 401k plan away from you. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
That was next, yes.
That's all the left has been talking about the last year. Donald Trump is going to take away your 401k plan. He's going to take 90%. There was some talk about maybe trimming it back a little, about how much money you could put into the accounts. Maybe, but I very much doubt that. But I guarantee you 90% of your 401ks are not going to be taken away from you. Look, if 55 million people have these accounts, obviously they're pretty popular with people. So your question was about these senators. I count, let's say, 3 senators who hate Trump's guns, right, who are Republicans. John McCain, Bob Corker, and Jeff Flake. And, you know, that's bad news because guess what? He needs one of those 3 if we're going to get tax reform passed, right, because none of the Democrats are going to provide the 50 votes that he's going to need. So, you know, he's got to repair relationships with them because he needs them, if for no other reason. They're still going to be around for another year or so. And now the good news is they all voted for the budget that enabled the tax cut last week. So I think they're going to be on board, but it doesn't make it easy when these senators, talk about reviling Trump. I think those 3 do. And I think the reason that Trump lost the health care vote was personal animosity between John McCain and Trump.
Well, why can't they all kiss and make up? And can you make that happen? Have a big kumbaya moment? Because, I mean, really, you don't want them to block his political agenda.
Yeah. Well, maybe you could get them out on the golf course.
Well,
that's always. Yeah, I know that whenever he has problems with Ron Paul, he takes them out to play golf, and they do kiss and make up. Look, I think that part of I am a big fan of Donald Trump. Work for him. I think what he's doing on the economy is magnificent, but he has an incredible character defect that, number one, he refuses to admit when he's wrong, and number two, sometimes he's incapable of kissing and making up. I mean, it's just, I don't know if it's a New York thing or what, but, if somebody slugs at him, he slugs back. He just, it's impossible for him to, even, that made up story about, how he was with the woman whose husband died, in Nigeria.
Yeah, Sergeant Johnson. Yeah, right.
I mean, and look, I thought, my only point is you don't get in a fight with someone like that, right? I mean, you just say, "I'm sorry if you misinterpreted what I said. I'm so sorry for your loss." It's just that, but sometimes Trump is just incapable of that, and it is a turnoff for a lot of people. I know a lot of people say, "I like Trump's policies. I like a lot of things he's doing, but his personality is just so grating on me." And if he wants to get reelected, he better work on that.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Now, with respect to what will be included in the final form coming out of the House of the tax reform plan, this is obviously important to a high-tax state like Illinois at the state and local level. The state and local tax deductions, you think they're going to be in or out?
I think it's going to be in, and I think it'll affect, what I've been advising them is just it would affect people who make over, say, $500,000 a year. So no middle-class person will be affected. But look, it is important. There's people who live in the state of Illinois. I used to live in the state of Illinois. Illinois is now one of the top 2 or 3 tax states in the country. So you would be affected by this. But I see it as a 2-for-1. If we get this tax cut done and we eliminate the state and local tax deduction, number one, you get a federal tax cut. And number two, it is going to force Springfield to start cutting your taxes, because if you continue cutting bonds, that's the laugh of the day, right? No, okay, but look, if they don't cut taxes in Illinois and we get rid of the state and local deduction, then there's only one thing left for people to do, and that's, for those who are still there, to move out of Illinois. Because right now, the only reason that Springfield can even somehow get away with these massive tax increases all the time is 40% of it is paid for people in other states, because you get to write off of 40% of it. So, yeah, I want to get rid of the state and local tax deduction. It's my least favorite provision in the tax code. I think it's unfair for people who live in low-tax state taxes like me to pay more taxes to pay for people in high-tax states like you guys in Illinois.
Where's Amazon HQ2 going to go?
Just going to ask that.
Where's Amazon HQ2 going to go? Dallas, Atlanta, where's it going to go?
Chicago.
We want a prognostication from
Chicago, baby, right next to Wrigley Field.
Yeah,
no, actually, there's Michael Reese Hospital. That place it's empty, and that's on Lake Michigan. I mean, it would be an absolute gorgeous place.
Yeah.
But the business economy, or the environment here is not good.
Yes, this just.
Yeah, but look, I've said this so many times. Chicago's a world-class city. It's one of the greatest cities in the world. I think at top 10, and it has so much going for it, other than the taxes and the fact that you've got too much crime. I mean, other than those two things, I mean, can you imagine if you put someone in charge of the state of Illinois and the city of Chicago who moved, away from the high taxes, got serious about improving the schools and getting crime off the street? I mean, Chicago would be like Hong Kong, for goodness sake. So all of your wounds are self-inflicted.
Absolutely.
That's what's so frustrating.
Absolutely. There's an interesting study by Thumbtack, business friendliness study. Thumbtack's a San Francisco-based company that specializes in matching local customers with professionals. They surveyed 13,000 small business owners who work as electricians, music teachers, wedding planners, wellness professionals across the spectrum. And they graded states by a number of metrics: ease of starting a business, regulations, tax code, licensing. For Illinois, licensing F, tax code F, environmental factors F, regulations F, ease of starting a business C-,
Oh.
overall business friendliness F. So that's where you're hearing from the small business owner entrepreneur. So it's not just the big companies and trying to land like the Amazon HQ2. It's those startups.
Well, let me give you an example of what you're talking about. This is one of the things I just thought was so crazy. So my brother, who still lives in the Chicago area, many years ago started a moving company, to move people from their apartments and so on. What's easier than starting a moving company, right? Did you know in Chicago, you have to get a license to do that?
Right.
And what happens is you have to go to I think it was the Chicago Commerce Commission or something like that. And you have to prove to these people on the commission that there is a demand for your service. So what happens is all the other moving companies, the big ones, say, no, we've already got that covered. we don't need that company here. It's like McDonald's saying, no, we don't need that Burger King. We got the hamburgers.
We're good.
And Steve, I don't know if you know, but it's now a crime in Chicago if you refuse to join a union. It's a misdemeanor.
Well, it's not. Not yet.
I saw up to 1 year, and it's potentially 1 year in prison. I mean, it's practically higher crime than rape.
Yeah, they failed to override the governor's veto of that in the House yesterday, so it's not Illinois law. But the fact that it came as close as it did, and they're going to go back at it next week probably, says something about Illinois. Yes, criminalizing local officials who vote for right-to-work zones.
Unions are so good for workers that they have to threaten to put people in jail if they don't join the union.
Ultimate thuggery.
That about sums it. All right, Steve Moore, Heritage Foundation senior economist, CNN economist, Wall Street Journal columnist. Steve, thanks for joining us as always. Appreciate it.
I'm just so glad I know two people in Chicago, Dan and Amy, who don't revile me.
Yes, exactly. It's starting a movement. Yes.
Take care. Bye.
Thanks. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
You're listening